Hi, I'm Liselle and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things writing, traditional publishing, and a little bit of reading. And Happy New Year! It is 2025. This is the first video of the new year and I'm going to be talking all about my writing projects. So I'm going to update you on everything I've done with my writing projects from the middle of 2024 to the end of 2024. And then I'm going to talk about projects that I'm going to be continuing in 2025 and also new projects I'm going to be working on in 2025. And I have a surprise one I'm so excited to talk about. So I'm looking forward to chatting about all of that. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about projects that were completed in 2024. And the first and only project I'm going to talk about is a Mastery of Monsters. I'm so excited. I have my little arc here. Yeah, people have commented, she's a thick girl. She's a thick girl. And I'm very, very proud of her. And I'm so excited for everyone to read her. A Mastery of Monsters is my YA Dark Academia fantasy. We're following a girl who is forced to team up with a boy who is months away from becoming a literal flesh-eating monster in order to save her brother. So she has to infiltrate the secret society that he's part of, and they have to compete together in a series of deadly games in order to save his humanity. And yeah, I'm so excited. It's set at my alma mater, Queen's University. It's got that deadly competition, it's got a slow burn romance, it's got a fantastic main character. August is my favorite. She's just great. She's great. She's messy, she's rude, and she throws knives for fun. So what more could you ask for? And I'm so excited about it. So I did finish all the edits on A Mastery of Monsters in 2024. So I am done. I'm done with it. It is off my plate. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to everything that comes next. As of now, kind of just like we have the arcs ready to go. We did change the release date. The original release date was June 3rd and we've changed it now to July 29th, I believe. That is right. I think that's right. We just pushed it a little bit for reasons. It's sales stuff. It's not really something that I know I can say in particular. But again, also nothing like huge magical or anything. It's just like it works out better to do it that way, and that's just the way it's gonna go. And I actually think it's good too because it gives us a little bit more time. Just because of the way like holidays roll over and that sort of thing, I feel like it gives us a little bit more of like a bigger chunk of marketing time, which I like and I appreciate. And so I think altogether it's gonna work out well, and it's already done. So it's happening. So now it's gonna come out at the end of July instead of the beginning of June, which is nice because it's more like right in the middle of summer, which will be also really good. So I'm looking forward to that. I am basically, so from now on, I'm basically focused on like promotional stuff. I am still kind of waiting on my publisher to get my marketing plan from them, because from there I can kind of decide what I want to do or what I don't want to do. What I have been thinking about doing and what I've been talking about with a librarian friend is doing some sort of like a library outreach in Canada specifically. And this is because the Canadian price of the book is quite high. And so I wanted to do something like send out to librarians in Canada, like send them like an ARC and like some bookmarks to give out to teens in the library, just to kind of like have them be aware that like, for one, I want the librarians to stock it, and for two, I want the teens in that area, in that library, to know that this is a book that they can get from the library. Just because I know it's priced a little bit higher and I just don't want them to be kind of like priced out of it. Like I don't set the price. I'm not the publisher sets the price. And so I want to try and see what I can do to kind of mitigate, to help support libraries in Canada a little bit more and like make them more aware of the book, so that I can feel like the book is going to be there for teens. And so I want to do that. And of course, I usually do a donation of final copies to the book bank, which is in Toronto. And I give them books, and then basically like kids can come in and they can take the book, and it's like theirs. To my understanding, like it's that sort of like giveaway thing. And so doing that, I can kind of also like outreach a little bit more. So that's kind of been what I've been thinking about or focusing on right now. I don't know that I'm gonna do like a whole pre-order thing the way I did for Tender Beasts, because really I did that pre-order thing as like a gift thing to readers, and like a Mastery of Monsters doesn't have any readers yet. Like of course, like hopefully my readers will read it, but that hasn't really become a thing yet. So I think that's something that I might save for like a second book, and to like do a library request pre-order campaign for like second book in the series as opposed to the first. But I do want to do that library thing, so I do need to get my ducks in a row. I haven't figured out what I'm doing with the bookmarks. I was like, oh, I can just do regular printed bookmarks, but then I kind of wanted to do like a throwing knife bookmark, because you can get like metal bookmarks that like look like stuff, but I'm also like, I don't know that that's helpful to the librarian to give them a throwing knife bookmark. I probably will just send them paper bookmarks. But I am trying to think of like other swag items that I can take with me like to events, because I have commissioned some artwork, and so I'm going to print out prints of those that I can take to events and that sort of thing. So I was just trying to think of other stuff, but I think for the library I will probably send a print bookmark and an arc for them with like a personalized letter, just kind of talking about like why it's important to me to have the book in libraries and have it accessible. So that's kind of the mode I'm in for Mastery of Monsters, but otherwise, especially now that the date has moved, we're pretty much early days at this point. And so I'm more concentrated on the sequel. Now on to ongoing projects. So these are projects that I started in 2024 that I'm going to continue working on in 2025, and it's just one project, and it is the second book in the Mastery of Monsters series. So I am very excited about it. It's book 2 of 3. And so it's the middle book. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of it. I'm so excited, and it's so funny because I feel like I've talked about this book more than A Mastery of Monsters, because when I was working on A Mastery of Monsters, like in depth, the deal wasn't announced yet, and so I feel like I wasn't doing the same level of like talking about it, or I don't know. It's a very weird thing, but like once it was announced and there was a cover and that sort of thing, I was already working on the second book, and so I feel like I talked about that a lot more. But that is basically in like its semi-earliest form, in that I have the second draft of it, which I sent off to my editor. So basically I wrote the first draft, I read over it, I planned edits, and I did an edit of it. So it is now in its second draft, because I don't like to send first drafts to my editor or agent, or anyone for that matter. So I have sent that off to my editor, and I'm just really pleased with it. It's long as heck, but that's just the way it's gonna be. That's the way it's gonna be. It's so long. But I wanted to make sure that I got everything that I felt it needed to have in it, and then see what kind of goes from there. But I just feel like it's so good. I feel like it's so pacey, and I feel like it's such a good second book. Like I feel like it builds on things that happened in the first book. It gives you a bit more, but it also like saves mysteries and like character development and other stuff for the third book. It's like a little bit of a cliffhanger. Like I'm just very excited about it. I think you really get to get more from the characters than in the first book. And it's just like, it's even more action-packed than the first book, which is great. And I always enjoy when I have a kind of sequel. The fun thing about it is that you can build on a world that you've already created. And so it feels like you're like writing fan fiction of your own book, because you can build on that. And in the case of this book, because the world is so huge and there's so much stuff and there's so many characters, it was also like, okay, now let me get in this other information that I already had. So that's a bit of a challenge. That's definitely the challenge with this series, is like keeping up with the amount of world building that I've had to do for this. I ended up setting up a whole Notion just to keep track of everything that is happening in this series, and I still have to go in and like do a lot of updates to it and that sort of thing. That is definitely going to be a task for me, because I need to get that updated and straightened out by the time edits come back to me, so I can double check all of the stuff that I have in place. But yeah, just a massive world, easily the biggest and most complicated world building I've done in a book thus far, but I'm really looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing it get out there. And finally, we're going to talk about the new books that I'm going to be starting to work on in 2025, and make some progress on in 2025. I was going to say complete, but not necessarily. So, and the first one to talk about is, and you probably have guessed this going by the theme of this video, it is the third book in the Mastery of Monsters trilogy. Yeah, I will probably, I don't know how the deadlines are going to shake out now that the first book's release date has shifted, so maybe things will be a little bit different, but going on my past deadlines, probably my first draft for this book is going to be due in the beginning of 2026, which means that I need to start writing it in the middle of 2025 because that's how I try and like schedule things out, because I want to make sure that I have a good significant chunk of time to work on the book, because again, as I said, I don't like to hand in my first drafts, so I need time to plot the book, I need time to draft the book, I need time to read over, plan edits, do the edits, and hand that in. And so I need like roughly like 6 months to be able to do that. And so that's kind of how I work my schedule, to be sure that I'm going to have that amount of time. So yeah, pretty much around the halfway point of the year, I'm going to start working on this final book. And that also has to be done because I need to make sure that I've done developmental edits on the second book, so that I know that that's pretty much like in the form it's gonna be, so that I can go on to the third book. Because if a bunch of things are gonna change, like I don't want to be starting on the third book and I haven't even finalized the second one. So that's kind of the way it's going to be. And I'm looking forward to it. I already have lots of ideas and things percolating for this book, because I did try and plan ahead before I went into writing the second book so that I would know what I was building to. And I mean, there's some dramatic stuff that I already have planned that I'm excited about. For me, it's just kind of like shifting around the times when I want things to happen, but we will see what happens and what comes of that. But anyway, I do need to get started on that. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be working on the latter half of 2025, with the first half of 2025 being dedicated to the second book in the series. And then there's one more project that I'm going to be working on in 2025. And this is what I was the most excited about. So if you've been following my writing vlogs, I made a grand declaration that I was going to revive the kind of horror trio book that I had, or like set of books that I had been working on, and I had done a proposal and I'd given it to my publisher and it hadn't really worked out, and so then I had pitched a Mastery of Monsters instead, which is what I actually wanted to work on, and then I was able to do that, etc, etc. Anyway, I made a big to-do of saying that's what I was going to work on this year, and that's not what's going to happen. So basically, here is the whole journey. Here's the whole journey of how this happened. So being on submission with my adult thriller for the then kind of 5-6 months-ish that it had been at that time, and kind of feeling like that wasn't going to work out, I really did get, like, I mean, I was very sad. I was very sad and I was very down in the dumps. And when I'm like that, I'm dramatic. It's just the way that I am. And I thought to myself, well, I guess you can't sell an adult, so why would you write more adult right now? You should you should, you know, go with a sure thing. You should start in advance, getting some sort of young adult something ready, that I don't know, that people will actually want from you and will like sell and that sort of thing. Like stay in your wheelhouse for a bit, and then later you can like pick up some adult stuff once you've kind of like settled something that is like more of a sure thing. But in the back of my head, there was a book that I wanted to work on, an adult book, and I just wanted to do it. And I had really kind of pushed myself into being like, no, you really got to push that off. What are you going to do? You're going to write another adult book and like be in the same position again? Like, why would you do that? That's very silly. And so I had sort of talked myself out of it. And then I was like, you know what? I have to follow my dreams. I just have to. I have to do what I want. And I feel like from the beginning, this has really been my author brand, is I do what I want, you know? And that's just kind of the way it is. Like, yeah, okay, maybe fantasy, sci-fi blends don't sell. I do what I want. I want to do it. I want to do it. I'm going to write it. And you know, maybe dark academia is oversaturated right now. I want to do it. I want it. And so I did it. And so I just couldn't succeed in that mode of thinking of like, let's just do this because I guess this is all I'm good for, which I knew was just like me being extremely dramatic. Which, rest assured that my friends and spouse and like partner call me out for being dramatic all the time. Like, I know this about myself. I'm never shocked about this. I'm aware that this is the sort of person that I am. But anyway, so I decided to, again, follow my dreams, and I'm going to start working on an adult book, and I'm going to work on the adult book this year, and whatever happens, happens, but I have to work on the project that I'm most excited to work on. I just have to follow it. Also, I understand that this is my income and I rely on this for my job. I know that I can write a proposal for a young adult book, and I could write that, and I'm sure, probably be successful. And so I have time and energy to do that. And I know that I don't really like doing proposals because I feel like people don't get a good idea of my work from proposals. But the fact of the matter is, proposals are also very good when you are a career author, and you have a lot of things that you're working on deadline, and you do not necessarily have the same amount of time to write a full book. As opposed to trying to break into a new age category, I do need to write the whole book. And anyway, again, this is about the following of my passion. Anyway, and I'm so sorry because it's been like 5 minutes now and I haven't even told you what I'm gonna write. I'm so sorry. And you know this book, I'm gonna work on the slug book. It's happening. It's happening. I'm doing it. I have to follow my heart, and my heart belongs to the slugs. And that's just where I have to go. I have to follow it. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing. The slug book, I'll link down below. I talked about like future writing project ideas that I had. And one of them was this slug book, which I surprisingly I did not think would be popular in any way, but a lot of you were really excited about the slug book, which makes me feel great. And it's what I was most interested in working on. And I'm giving myself, because I know that I'm financially good, I'm giving myself the space to dream a little dream and to keep going for trying to break into adult and doing that on a more immediate basis, because I do have some buffer time. Like in 2026, I can put together a proposal for a YA and do that. Like I can go about my business at that point in time. And I have a little bit of time now, and I do want to devote that time to this book. And it's going to be an adult horror. We're not doing an adult horror that accidentally turns into a thriller. We're not doing it. It's going to be an adult horror. Very much what I'm thinking is like upmarket adult horror, that sort of vibe. Like what are some good comps? Like A Tender is the Flesh, The Eyes Are the Best Part, Manhunt, Cuckoo. I feel like sound like I'm saying words right now, but like an upmarket adult horror. So an adult horror with like a very literary style writing that has a commercial hook, such that it can pull in a commercial audience. So yeah, so that's what I would like to do. I can no longer remember how much I said about the slug book in the past. But yeah, it's basically a world that is essentially our world, but people, slugs are kind of like the in thing. And it's, yeah, that's just the sort of thing. You have slugs, and it's a thing that people are really like. I feel like I'm pitching this in the absolute worst way, but I have so many ideas about it percolating in my mind, and I am so called to it, and I've been thinking about it so much, and I just feel like that is a sign that I should be writing it and I should be doing this. And something I'm going to do with this book is I'm going to be doing something that I have never done before to write a book, because, and I said this in my end of the year video, I just feel like there's nothing like failure to make you feel like you can do anything. Like, and I want to try something different. I want to really kind of stretch my writing muscles. I want to put myself into the mindset of writing in a different way, in a different mode. And so basically what I'm going to be doing is I am going to write a series of vignettes. So I'm going to do a bunch of like 1,000-word scenes, completely out of order. I'm going to do, I think, roughly like 35 of them. And then when I have that collection of just like all over the place scenes, from those I will plot at that point. From there I will plot out the rest of the story. I will rearrange the scenes, and then I will expand on the story. So I'll fill in the gaps between the scenes to make a coherent novel. And I will put that all together from plotting, and that will get me like a first draft. And that's how I'm going to put this story together. Why do I want to do this? For one, I want to do something different. And for two, I just think it's the way I'm kind of thinking of the story. Like, I just don't necessarily have a narrative thread for this story at all. And I want to be able to discover it through the vignettes. And I want to try doing something that's a bit of a mixture of discovery writing and plotting, and do it in that sort of way. And I also think this is really helpful considering that I am working on this while I'm working on the A Mastery of Monsters series, which is a very plot heavy, very structured series. Very plot heavy, very structured, because I have so many characters and so many things going on. It has to be that way for me to be able to execute it. And so really me working on Slug Book is me doing it in the snatches of time between working on the series that I have. I would really like it if I could get like at least I'd like it if it could be sub ready by the end of the year, but realistically it might not. I'd like it if by the end of the year I could at least have like a nice polished draft that I could kind of send to betas and go from there, send to betas and my agent and kind of go from there. That would be nice. But yeah, that's what I would like to do with it. And so I think doing this format will also really help me avoid feeling overwhelmed because it can't be like the thing in which I like take a full month or take 2 months to draft a book. I just don't see that working within the schedule of the fact that I have to like edit the second Master Monsters book and write the third Master Monsters book. I just don't think that would work. And I think that the vignette writing is good in that it's something that I can do like in spaces of time, and then kind of just like think and percolate on the story and build it up and put things together, and create a coherent whole once I actually do have like a month to sit down and look at all my bits and pieces and fit things together. And maybe it won't work well, maybe it will be a complete failure and I'll be like, oh my god, this was not the way I should have done this. But I have hope that it will work out, and at the very least I will get to try a kind of new mode of writing and putting together stories that I think will be really helpful for me as a writer. And as I said, this is kind of a year in which I have that space and I want to use it for a passion project, and I want to just go for it. So I'm really excited about that. I'm super looking forward to whatever the slug book becomes, however it shapes up together, and I just think that it's going to be one of those things that yeah, it's just, I feel very passionate about it and I'm really excited about it, and it's this sort of thing where I'm looking forward to the new year. Well, I'm in the new year, but like I'm looking forward to like getting going on it, and starting on it, and I think that's important. I want to be excited about my projects, and I was excited about the horror revamping thing, but it was like as time went on, the more I was like, oh, I have to fix what I already have, and I can feel it like weighing on me, and I just want to do something new. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be doing, and I'm really excited in like keeping you on this journey. I also think, because I talked in the past about doing that Feed Me novella, which was like I was going to talk a bit about like body image and eating and that sort of thing, and I actually had a very good idea for like pulling out things that I liked from that, and incorporating it into the slug book, and so therefore getting to talk about those topics that I was interested in and like folding that into that, and like based on the sort of like themes that I imagine for the slug book, it actually works out really, really well, and perhaps disturbing to think of the thing about eating being combined with the slug thing, but it's gonna work out. And I mean, it's a horror. It is a horror. And it's gonna be, we're going, you know, pedal to the metal horror in this case. It's not gonna be accidentally become a thriller. I'm gonna stick hard to that. And I'm just, yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. So I will stop yapping on about it and I will close off this video because that was the last thing I was gonna talk about. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to 2025 and the writing that I have planned for 2025. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!